One thing I love about data analytics is that there's no one right path to becoming a data analyst. And I like how this interview series really shines a light on different journeys. In this episode, we're talking to Thais Cooke about her transition from dental hygienist to data analyst. We talk about her role in population health, the skills she learned as a dental hygienist, and how they apply to her job as a data analyst, the impact of AI on the data field, and more. Hi, Thais. Thanks for sitting down with me today.
Hi, sure. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. To everyone listening, my name is Lauren, and I am a customer success lead and analyst specialist at Maven Analytics. I have asked Thais to join me today to talk about her own transition from being a dental hygienist to a data analyst and any advice that she has for people who might be looking to do the same. Thais, to start us off, I'd love to learn a little bit more about your day to day. I think you've been a data analyst for several years now. So, what do you kind of do in your role?
So, what I do, I'm a data analyst, but I'm in the healthcare industry, and more specifically in population health. So, population health is a segment that I focus instead of the individual level in healthcare, it's on groups of people. So, I analyze things such as okay, are our readmission for a certain group going up or down? Or are there any initiatives that we implemented that are working, or the trends on chronic diseases for a certain group of patients, how we're doing follow-ups in certain populations. So instead of being the individual level, I analyze the level of a population of how they're doing, what is the trend, and what is going up or down, and things like that. So it's a more group level analysis type of thing.
That's really cool. My first job as a data analyst, I worked at a health insurance company.
Hmm.
And so I think I was sort of on the opposite side of that. And it was a
Yeah.
little bit more like claims and more individuals. So I love that you were able to sort of like flip it and go to more of a like a group level sort of population health area. That's really cool.
Yes, yes. And we see, I mean, we use different types of data. I use the electronic health records, claims, community health data sets,
Mhm.
and so on, and see what is the story that that data is trying to tell me about a certain group of people.
Totally. I imagine that is probably not particularly clean data that you get
N-
originally.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I think maybe that kind of goes into my next question for you, which is what does a typical day look like for you as an analyst?
So it all depends on the day. Like you said, the data is not clean at all. Some of the days I spend just cleaning and standardizing the data to make sure it's ready for analysis.
Mhm.
Other days, I'm in the end spectrum of it, and I'm, oh, okay, what is this trend? Why is this going up so much or down so much? So it's a little bit of that detective work to see what is happening. But what is very interesting, this is an assumption that I had before becoming a data analyst. I thought that, oh, I'm going to spend my whole day just writing code. It's amazing that some days are spent not writing a single line of code at all. And my days are just spending thinking about the problem and like, okay, what is my population to begin with? How am I going to, what are the challenges they're facing? How I'm going to tackle this? And analyzing the data sets to see what is going to be useful based on the context of the question and what data sets I say, okay, these I don't need to integrate because it doesn't fit this question, but these I have to integrate to see what the trends are and so on. So lots of data modeling in a way,
Mhm.
what is going to make sense, and just so I can paint that picture at the end. And so some days are, yes, SQL, dashboards, and reports and building those things, but other days are just thinking about the problem and problem solving.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that
Mm.
I also realized very early on was that like data analysis is not just writing the SQL queries, and most of your work probably a lot of the time is that like kind of gathering the requirements
Yeah,
and getting the data where like not only getting it from where you need it, but then also getting it into the right shape. So
yes, exactly.
it's I
Mhm.
think it's a very common misconception from
Yeah,
people that
yes.
I've spoken to.
Yes.
So when you got into data from being a dental hygienist,
Hmm. Yes.
what what made you decide to make that transition?
Okay, so I got into data almost by accident in a way. I was extremely burned out from the healthcare industry. And I always say that takes a very special person to do clinical healthcare and be face to face with the patients every day. And people who do this, they love this. I mean, it's it's rare to find that. I got extremely burned out for many different reasons. Not
Yes.
gonna go much into details, but I was burned out. And when COVID hit, that was the last straw. I said, "That's it. I want to get out of this. I cannot see myself doing this for the rest of my life." So COVID, in a way, kind of reset the button for me to, now I have this time. I'm going to, you know, look into something else.
Hmm.
And I got into data because I was talking, like I said, complete almost by accident. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was working for a dental lab at that time. And I mentioned I wasn't working at the time, told her my reasons, and she said, "Listen, I need someone who knows dental terminology. You know what is a crown, what is implant, what is a partial, and all of those, terms, just to enter the data of the orders we're receiving." So very straightforward, had to receive an order, look what is needed, put all the information in Google Sheets, keep track of those orders. Okay, fine. So I start doing this, but then I start noticing patterns on the data. And the wheels on my brain start to turn. I'm like, why are we having so many implants this month? Why are you using this system versus another system? Why is this office ordering from us again after they stop for a while? So I just start getting curious about, literally went on Google and typed how to analyze data, literally. So had no idea what I was doing. And I started seeing videos and tutorials. And one of the videos was with Alex Freeberg, Alex the analyst, and he
Hmm.
also did the transition from healthcare into data. And I didn't even know that was possible. And one of the things that he highlighted was SQL. You have to know SQL. You have to learn SQL.
Yep.
So I said, let me try to learn SQL. If it's something I can learn, great, I'll go for it. If it goes completely over my head, then it's not for me. And I fell in love with SQL. When I wrote select star the first time, I'm like, oh my God, there's so much I can do with this data. So I started learning SQL, got better in Excel, start learning Tableau at that time, visualizations and everything. And after a few months, I went to my boss and I say, "Hey, I'm playing around with my data. Look what I have produced. Is this helpful for you?" And she was in shock. She said, "How did you learn how to do this?" And I told her, and she said, "Please bring more of this." So I kind of sort of became a data analyst on the spot for that company,
Hmm.
but it was a small business. We didn't have a data team or data in the data warehouse. We didn't have any of this. So after I got my skills, a little more sharp, I started applying to different companies and I ended up in the healthcare company that I am now. So yeah,
Wow.
that's the story.
That is like, I, I feel like so many people, it kind of starts out similarly, especially where it's, COVID was sort of the final straw, and then you learn about data analysis from somewhere. But like for you to do it and then approach your boss and say, "Hey, I've done this," and kind of
Yeah,
turn it into a data analyst job from that way is
yeah,
very different from anybody else.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
very it's a cool approach to take where it's like, hey, I've already learned these skills. Let me show you what I've found from it.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it helped to that my boss, she was a friend too, so that kind of helped a lot to do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. But it is I think it's one of those things where people don't realize how much we can learn from the data until it's put in front of your face and you're like, "Oh wow." Like
Yeah.
this is crazy. It's so cool to like, and for you, I think too, to have the mindset of already having those questions about like why did this company stop ordering from us and start again later?
Hmm.
That's a question that I think that you sort of need to be like, I don't know what the word is, but you need to sort of like have the ability to critically think and like already and sort of be curious and wonder like what's happening here.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of just like my job is just to enter this data and call it a day, like how can I make this useful? How can the company use this? It's, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, that's really, really cool. I guess one of the other questions that kind of comes from that is, are there specific like skills or experiences from being a dental hygienist that you found particularly valuable in your transition?
Yes, actually, it's funny because back then, as a dental hygienist, I didn't realize how many analytical skills I was using during those years. It's
Hmm.
it's insane to think about it. We were like when I was transitioning into data analytics, I wasn't like I was thinking, oh, I'm just a dental hygienist. No, there's so many skills. Like for instance, with my patients, I would see patients that had uncontrollable gum disease. It was just getting worse. And I had to monitor this disease, collect the data,
Hmm.
analyze the trends. Was the disease getting better or getting worse? And look beyond the surface and ask questions like, okay, it's not only oral hygiene. What else is involved? Are there any underlying conditions? Are there any eating habits? Are you going through any overall treatment, taking any medications that are impacting this? What is happening to get to the final goal of you're going to keep your teeth and you're going to keep your mouth healthy? That
Yeah.
was the goal. But I had to really dig beyond the surface and have that critical thinking that is so valuable as a data analyst.
Hmm.
And the second skill that I think too is communication empathy. Because if you think about it, I don't know about you, but my experience tells me that most people do not like to go to the dentist. They hate it. They hate
Yes.
it. I have a
Yes.
very few that say that they like to go. Most of the patients sitting there with their arms crossed and like, I don't want to be here. And I
Hmm.
had to be the bearer of bad news sometimes.
Yeah.
So to do that, to have the skill of I have to put myself in their shoes and communicate in a way that they're going to take action. That's very similar to communicating data insights to a stakeholder who does not want to take insights on that data.
Yes.
So to have this skill and develop this skill throughout the years, and this is something that just comes with time and practice. So I did not realize at that time how much that was valuable as a data analyst.
Totally. And I think it's really funny, like if I'm thinking about it, your patient was almost your stakeholder and like
Mhm.
their health was what was at risk. And so it's almost even more important that you have that communication and empathy. Like
Yeah,
you're trying to guide them towards the right decisions to like save their teeth at points in time. So, you
exactly.
know,
Exactly.
I can absolutely see where like the communication and empathy part of it is just like
Mhm.
enormously critical there. So,
Yes, yes, and sometimes they're just willing to take action when it was too late. I'm like, now I can't do anything. You're gonna lose your teeth. So,
yeah. So I guess one question too is like when you did you see those transferable skills, critical thinking, communication, empathy, did you see them as like are you looking back now and recognizing that those were important skills that you took, or was that something that was apparent to you right away? It was like, oh, my critical thinking skills from my time as a dental hygienist really helped me from the start.
now I see that more than in the beginning. I mean, I think in the beginning we all have, I still have that from time to time, the imposter syndrome, but in the beginning, even more. I mean, like, I'm just a dental hygienist. How am I going to be a data analyst? So I mean, and I still have, imposter syndrome. It's never going to go away. But I think when you're trying to do this transition, that even screams even more at you. So, like, I'm just whatever. How can I be working data? But if you think, I mean, I like to do an analogy here. I like to think like this. Okay, imagine I'm a dental hygienist and I have a basket full of skills. So I know how to use the right instruments to clean teeth and I put in this basket. I know how to take x-rays and I put in this basket. I know how to do infection control and I put in this basket. But I also have critical thinking. I also have communication, I also have empathy. I have analytical thinking and all of this. So I have this basket now that says I'm a dental hygienist. So now if I want to be a data analyst, I'm not going to wipe and take away all of those skills and start from zero.
Yeah.
I'm going to take away the skills that I'm not going to need anymore. I don't need to know how to take x-rays. I don't need to know which instrument to use to do whatever cleaning. I don't need to know that. But
Hmm.
I'm not going to get rid of everything. I'm going to keep those skills that I have, and I'm going to fill in my basket SQL, Excel, Power BI, or Tableau, whatever it is, to create a new basket that says, I'm a data analyst. So
Yeah.
it's about doing that transition. And when you write your resume, to show that you have those, highlight those in your resume.
Absolutely. It's I think like what you said about imposter syndrome, I think it's like everybody has to, new grads who are graduating with data analyst degrees probably have it, but I think that those of us who have transitioned from one career to this, it's almost even harder just because you've got all these skills and you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I market myself and my skills that I know are going to be valuable?
Yeah.
But sort of leave off the x-ray or like knowing the right instrument to use to clean teeth like so I think that it's very hard for a lot of us and imposter syndrome will never go away.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
So I think you mentioned kind of like the your resume and how you were going to use the skills that you have.
Mhm.
It sounds like maybe you left your some of your healthcare experience on your resume then, is that right?
Yes. Yes. Anything that was related to data analysis and just try to really put the focus in those things.
Do you think it helped you to have that sort of like you had, it sounded sort of like a data entry job almost originally,
Hmm.
and then it sort of shifted into a data
Yeah.
analyst position.
Yeah.
Did it also, I guess, help you to have that role on your resume when you were applying for other data jobs?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because there was like the first stepstone that made me realize patterns on data on a higher level, let's say on a bigger level. I'm receiving all this data from all these different sources, and now I have to see the patterns here instead of being patient one by one in an individual level. So yes, that definitely helped. And also made me more comfortable around the tools like Excel, Google Sheets,
Hmm.
SQL. So it made me more comfortable around that. So yes, that was extremely important too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
How did you frame, like I'm thinking through resumes and it's kind of like, the biggest pieces of advice that I hear are you want to make your bullet points
Hmm.
like, drove X% increase in efficiency or saved company, however much money. How did you frame your healthcare experience as relevant to the roles you were applying for?
I think if I recall correctly, I tried to, especially thinking back when I was in a dental office, I tried to quantify how many patients were getting healthier versus how many were not or were
Yeah,
stable. So try to quantify like, okay, out of I don't know how many patients I got, 30% of those patients ended up with the desired results. I didn't have to go into specifics, but like 30% ended up with desired results. Yeah.
got it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a very smart way to do it. And I
Hmm.
think like for me, it was a little bit easier because
Hmm.
with OT, you've got specific goals that you're working
Yeah.
towards. And so it's easy to say, based on analysis of data, 80% of patients achieved outcomes, right?
Yes.
But for you, I think it sounds like it was a little
Yeah.
bit more challenging. And I think you did it in a really smart way.
Yeah, yeah. I think, and don't quote me on that, but I think nowadays there are certain platforms that offices can contract with them that show the analytics. I think I've
Hmm.
seen one office, but this was right before I stopped, working as a dental hygienist. They use analytics and had a company, the contract with a company that would give, I think, was it a weekly or monthly reports of how the patients are doing and so on. But I didn't use this tool every single day. Like I wasn't there for too long. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that like even dental offices are getting like swept into the relying on data to see how they're doing.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
So I know SQL sounds like it was sort of like your gateway to
Yes.
data.
Mhm.
How did you actually go about learning those skills? So SQL, Excel, Tableau, or Power BI, what did you do?
So I like to learn in two stages. I like to have first what I call the theory stage, which can be watching a video tutorial or reading books or documentation or anything there it is that shows me how that tool works. But then I have to practice. I have to get data sets. I have to practice those skills. I envy if there's anybody out there that says, "Oh, I watch a video and understand everything." I envy you. I really do. I really do because I
Yes.
cannot do this. I have to get my hands dirty with the data. I have to solve problems. I have to bang my head against the wall, sometimes when I can't get a problem solution. But I have to do those things. Otherwise, I know I'm not going to learn. I just know that. So, and there's so many data sets available. You can go on Kaggle, you can go data.org. I haven't tried these yet, but if I am not wrong, I think you can even go to AI and ask,
Yeah.
hey, can you create a fake data set for me so I can practice in whatever scenario it is and practicing
Yeah.
those data sets. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting that like AI
Hmm.
has when I was learning, I think around the same time as you, it was like
Hmm.
2020 to 2022,
Yeah.
and AI was not nearly as big as it
Hmm.
is now. And so we didn't
Yes.
have that same ability to like use it as a resource.
Yes.
Um, but I think you're absolutely right that like it's something that I have done since then to say like, hey, I need help building a data set or like even a database. I've kind of said like I need a customers table, an orders table. And so like
Hmm.
it really helps if you can think about the industry you want to get into and the types of analysis that you might be doing. It's really helpful to kind of create those data sets and work with them.
Oh,
So
yes.
I love that idea.
Absolutely.
Did you use like I'm trying to think. I started out with Khan Academy when I was learning SQL, and then I kind of went to like a SQL Bolt tutorial. Did you do any of those things, or did you have a different path?
I did the same thing. I went to W3 schools
Hmm.
also, and I did Khan Academy. I think it was Code Academy. I don't remember, but yes, I did a bunch of those too. Yes. Yeah.
So, did you also start with Select Star from all like
Yes.
100,000 times? Like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. And yes, and like I remember when I learned select from where I'm like, oh, this is great. And then you start group by. I'm like, okay, group by. Okay, this is how it's grouping. And then it keeps going. Then when I went to window functions, I'm like, oh my God, what is this doing to my data? Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Yes.
it's window
Yeah.
functions for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Everything else, like it took a while, but I got it. Window
Yeah.
functions took me so much longer to
y-
like wrap my head around.
Yeah.
There,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, it was just like the one thing that like I get it now, but it took so long.
Yes, it took long, but it's funny because window functions is one of those things that took me long to learn, but once it clicked, I'm like, oh my God, this is like magic. This is amazing.
Oh, it's like it opens up so much more that you can do. Like they're crazy. It's great. So
Oh, yes, absolutely.
yeah, it's definitely one of those things where like you maybe don't need it in your first job or you don't need it to start your first
Yeah.
job, but highly recommend learning at some
Oh,
point.
yes, absolutely.
So is SQL still sort of your primary tool, or are you like expanding into other
Yeah,
things?
so SQL is my bread and butter. I use SQL every single day. Now because of the type of work that I have been doing, and I have to be integrating data from so many different data sources and automate this data too. So I start getting into a little bit more into Python and
Hmm.
Pandas library and all of that. And I have been using DuckDB also just to integrate all of
Sure.
that. And but DuckDB is very relies a lot on SQL as well. So I think that's why I get so comfortable around this. Yes, I had to do like certain practice just because my data was getting out of control from SQL. But I
Yeah.
mean, SQL is still my favorite. I still love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have two courses on LinkedIn Learning about SQL now. Is
Yes.
that right?
Well, one is about SQL, focus in the healthcare industry. The other
Hmm.
one is on data governance, but also with focus in healthcare specifically. Yes.
Got it. It's so cool that
Mhm.
like 5 years
Yeah.
ago you were doing dental work and now you are a data analyst who teaches data
If
skills.
anybody went back in time, and told me, "Oh, in 5 years from now, I'm gonna be doing a LinkedIn learning course and teach," I would have laughed. I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, right. You're talking to the wrong person."
Yeah. That is like it's such
Yeah.
a cool I think that we probably got into it at just a really good time because like
Hmm.
data kind of blew up at just that time, whereas like, at least
Yes.
I say this as like maybe somebody who didn't even recognize it was a job until or like a job
Hmm.
possibility until, 2020. So
Yeah.
I'm sure like it's been around. I think the Harvard like there was a Harvard article
Hmm.
years and years ago that called like
Hmm.
data science like the sexiest job. So like,
Yeah.
it certainly has been around for a long time, but it feels like it got really, really popular
Yeah.
like within the last 5 years. So
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely did. Yes.
yeah. And now with like the advent and like popularity of AI, it just has,
Yes.
blown up even more.
Oh, yes, it has. It
Yeah.
definitely has.
Yes. I think that actually like leads me to another question that I would have for you is that I know you've written a couple of LinkedIn posts about AI lately, and it's obviously such a huge topic, not only in data, but just like across the world. Um, Knowing what you know about AI, do you think that data is still a good career for people to get into?
I think so. Yes, absolutely. I just think that is going to morph and transform into something else that might not even exist yet. So, but that doesn't mean you're going to stop being a data analyst. Maybe we called something else. Maybe we call, I don't know, AI analyst. I
Hmm.
don't know. I'm making up the title, but maybe there'll be some other title jobs. But in essence, it's doing data analysis, but with AI integrating the workflows.
Hmm.
So I don't believe in this Skynet scenario where like Skynet's taking over, is going to wipe all the jobs and that's
Hmm.
it, and you doom. But I also don't go to the other extreme and say, oh, this is a hype, is going to fade, it's going to go away, you're going to do everything exactly the same way you have always been doing. No, I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
It's going to land somewhere in the middle. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know exactly where because I don't know. But I think there's definitely going to be integration within the workflows, automation of repetitive tasks.
Hmm.
I mean, just to give a quick example, for instance, I'm writing SQL, doing my code, and my code is not working. Instead of me going and like, oh my God, why is this not working? Going on Google and looking through
Yeah.
Stack Overflow and all of those things, I go to AI, copy and paste my code and say, what's wrong with my code? Why is this not running? And it gives me
Yeah.
an answer right there. So this is an example of how I'm using AI into my workflows. So
Hmm.
does that mean I'm not a data analyst? The AI is doing the job for me? Oh, not really. I mean, but I'm
Right.
still using it. So I think
Yeah.
it's going to land somewhere. And maybe we're not going to be called data analysts anymore. Maybe be called something else, but it is still going to be a data analyst at the end.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really interesting. Something that you said is that you have already written the SQL query and it's not working. So it's you still need to have the knowledge of SQL and how to write it. And you're just kind of using AI to be a partner and like troubleshooting with you. So it sounds
Exactly.
like those like learning those foundational skills of SQL and Excel are still like
Mhm.
incredibly important if you're trying to get into the field.
It is so important. And I say that I'm a good case study because I learned SQL the traditional way, doing W3 schools, Khan Academy, and like struggling through the problems and everything. And I am very confident in my SQL skills. If I go to AI and I ask to write me a query, I can tell right away if that query is what I'm looking for or not, because I have experience with that.
Yep.
Now, when I first started to learn Python and pandas and the libraries, I was in the beginning of learning when AI came.
Hmm.
And it was just so easy to go to AI and say, hey, how do I group my data using pandas? Give me the answer. And it gives me an answer. But if I'm going to be 100% honest, I have to really read through the code and
Hmm.
question myself, like, is this really what I'm looking for? And test and retest because my foundational skills are not really in place. And I'm like, you know what? Now I have to go back and learn, not relearn, but like really settle those foundational skills in Python if I want to use this tool, if that's the route I want to go. So,
Yeah. No, I think I have some friends who have taught Python, like even in university and college, settings,
mhm,
and they have said that there's like a significant difference in how well the students master Python now because they do the same thing where it's like they kind of sort of get the basics, but then they're like, I'll just go to AI and like fine tune it there. But and it works to some extent, but like
yeah.
I think it probably slows you down at some point if you don't have a good foundational knowledge and you have to kind of like really like weed through the code to see like, okay, is this actually what I'm asking it for? And is it giving me the right results? So I think it's a good point.
Yeah, and if you're doing this in, because there's a difference like between going to AI to build something at a personal level, or I want to build an app. Okay, I go to AI and build an app for myself or for my friends or something. Okay, fine. But if you're working with healthcare, if you're working with finance
Hmm.
and doing projects that have a lot at stake, you don't want to be like, oh, I don't know if this code is doing what it's actually supposed to be doing. You want somebody who knows what they're doing in there.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, and that too is like, when we think about AI like for organizations who are starting to use it, one of the things that like I kind of think about a lot is like, do your employees who are using AI have enough understanding of the data that it's being fed to make sure that their outputs are actually what they should be? Like, I think it's a conversation that's going to have to continue to happen just
Hmm.
in terms of like I can
Yeah.
foresee a future in which like companies potentially make really big errors because of
Hmm.
they trusted AI kind of blindly. So
Yeah, exactly. And when those mistakes happen, who is going to be accountable?
yes, absolutely.
That
Yeah.
that's the big question mark because the AI companies are going to say, no, I'm not accountable. It's the model, you bought it, but you're the one that has to watch that. Then what? Who is going to be responsible for it?
Yeah, totally. And I think that part of it too comes down to like our companies, one of the things again that I've read is like companies are saying to their employees, go use AI in your workflows,
Hmm.
but they're not, a lot of them at least, are not training on how to do it and how to do it safely and effectively. And they're kind of just like, Here you go, have at it." And
Yeah,
I think it just adds a level of complexity to that. So being aware at least would be a good first step, I think.
yeah, for sure. Yes. Yeah, even if it's small steps in the beginning, but yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly,
Hmm.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think like one thing too that comes from this is you learn SQL and Excel and Google Sheets kind of in the typical way. Do
Hmm.
you think that the skills needed to break into data have changed since the introduction of AI?
Well, I think the core skills itself are going to remain.
Hmm.
So, skills such as critical thinking, you write a code and you don't blindly trust, like we're talking about,
Hmm.
if that's what you're looking for and you test and you validate. So, critical thinking, curiosity, if there is a trend that the AI gave you, like, okay, why is this happening? So, all of these creativity to look for different ways to tackle the problem. So I think those core skills are not going to change. And I just think, okay, let me see if I can phrase this correctly. It's going to have a shift between, I feel that before AI, there was a lot of value in knowing syntax on the top of your head. Like, oh, I know Python SQL from the top of my head. I have everything memorized.
Yeah.
And that was a super valuable skill because you were fast. And now AI is, giving you that, cutting that time. But that doesn't mean that, oh, I don't need to know how to code like we're talking about. No, you still need to know your fundamentals. You still need to know, even for you to be a better consumer of AI, you still need to know what a good code looks like. You still need to
Mhm.
know that. There's actually a book that I want to read, I haven't read yet, called Clean Code, that was written a while ago.
Okay.
I've seen bits and pieces of it to, you know, so you can look and say, this is a good code. This is what what it looks like that is good. So you still need to know those foundations. So those core foundations, they are not going to change at all. The difference is that the focus is going to shift between I'm a human computer and I know everything like the back of my hand, and being able to do the critical thinking of that
Yeah.
is going to shift into that.
Yeah, no, I kind of think it's more about the human skills that you're bringing in, where it's like critical thinking, the communication, the creativity, like those things are probably going to remain and become even more important.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
I think I totally agree with you there. Um, awesome. We are at our final question.
yes.
So, and this is something that we're planning on asking every interviewee that comes on. If you had to go back to 2020 and do it
hmm
all over again, is there
hmm
anything that you would do differently?
I think I would have changed career sooner. No
Yeah, that makes
question,
sense.
no question about it. I think that's the number one thing. I would have changed my career sooner. But yes, but I don't know, because I think I did a lot of networking at the time. So maybe do more networking. I don't know. But I think my main change would be change career sooner, because if you're in a career that you don't enjoy and you have tried different things, like I tried different offices, I tried different approaches, and that just wasn't for me. And I understand it's frustrating because you're like, man, I went to school for this.
Yeah,
So it is frustrating. But you know what? See that as something that was preparing certain skills for you to get into data or whatever other career path you want to. So yeah, my main regrets that I have is that I didn't do it sooner.
totally get that.
Yes.
That is
Yep.
so like that resonates with me so much. So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much, Thais.
Of
This is
course.
fantastic. I really hope that this was useful advice for those of you trying to break into the data field.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
thank you all for joining us again today. And as
Yes.
always, make sure to like and subscribe for more data content just like this.
Sure.
Thanks.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Bye.